This video is brought to you by the Craft Channel in association with Fimo. For more information, visit www.fimo.com. Hello, you're here with the Craft Channel in association with Fimo. I'm here with Corinne Brad and she's going to be teaching us how to make these amazing chunky tribal bracelets.
Yeah.
So how would I get started with something like this, Corinne?
Well, Abby, these are very, very simple. These are made purely from Fimo Soft or Fimo Effect oven baked clays.
Okay.
They're the ones that most people are familiar with, and you bake them in a conventional oven for about half an hour on 110 degrees centigrade or 230 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
And it's just a very simple method. You just make a striped block, rather like a licorice all sort.
Okay.
And cut it. So I'm just going to show you very simply how to do it. And there's two ways that you can do these bangles. You can either have it so that your zigzags form a continuous zigzag.
Yeah.
But as you can see, you know, you will find an area where the join doesn't quite join up on the length of your bangle.
Yeah.
Or you can make something like this, which is probably the easier one to start with, where you've got a separator band.
Yeah.
And this separator band is purely by having, there's some gold leaf or some abalone metal leaf that's also made by Fimo.
Okay.
And you roll it onto a piece of clay and
So
you get
that
this
just
crack
hides
of,
any
yeah.
mistakes
Well, it
then?
hides any mistakes and it gives it a more professional finish.
Okay.
So we'll start by making the cane. Now what you'll need to do a lot of the time with the Fimo is you need to precondition the clay, and that is simply just warm it in your hands, mould it, knead it a bit, so that you've got a nice flexible clay.
Is that how you know it's finished then? Is that
It's nice.
be quite
If you
warm?
take it straight from the block and try and roll it out sometimes, especially in cold weather, you'll find it will all crack at the edges and it will break into loads of little pieces. And it's almost like it's baked, but it's not. It just needs a bit of livening up, really.
Okay.
So take a small piece of clay, simply roll it flat.
That's
now
just in a cube shape.
Yeah. I tend to store my spare clay in a cube shape because you can pack it into a box much more easily. I used to roll it in balls, but then you can't get as many balls in a box as you can a block.
Okay.
So roll it out to a thickness of about 1 millimetre. The thickness really at the minute is unimportant. Cut it into a rectangle. Now I'm using a straight blade. This is a rigid, more or less, but it's got slight flexibility.
And that's from Fimo as well?
From Fimo. Yeah,
So
they do a set of 3 blades actually, which they're really good. You've got a serrated one.
Yeah.
And you've got a flexible one for cutting curves.
Brilliant.
But I mean, it's invaluable, and you'll need this as well for cutting the slices off your striped block later. So I'm just working on a plain old white household tile.
And you form that into a rectangle?
Yeah, that's just a rectangle. Just lift it from the surface, because then you'll get your next colour and roll it out.
So how many colours are you going to be using?
I'm going to use about 7 or 8 colours. You know, most of the colours that are on the range here, the sort of like the natural colours,
Yeah.
with a little bit of green and a little bit of red.
So this is to make this bracelet here?
It's to make something similar.
Yeah.
One thing you'll
Not
know
gonna
with
be
me, Abby, is
exactly.
nothing's ever exactly the same as it was to start with. So I've rolled out some more clay. If you lay your rectangle on top of it and use that as a guide, just to cut the rectangle underneath to the same size. Yeah.
Okay.
And another thing that's really handy is a Perspex block. You can get these for rubber stamp,
Yeah,
self-cling rubber
just an
stamp.
acrylic block.
Because you can just press it flat rather than rolling it flat.
Okay.
And that way it will keep the shape of it much better, because sometimes if you roll, if you're a bit heavy-handed, you'll squash it out. So you continue layering clay up as much as you like, and in true video style, I have one that I've made earlier. And what I've actually done is, because the clay gets quite soft under the lights,
Okay.
and I want to cut nice clean slices, I've actually put this one on ice, literally on ice, in a cool bag next to me, but you can chill it in the fridge.
And that solidifies it as well?
Well, it just, if you feel it, it's not, you're not
Yeah.
going to get any distortion when you cut it.
Okay.
I mean, I find that quite often when I'm cutting slices, if you just chill your Fimo in the fridge for about 10 minutes, it just makes it a bit meatier and you're not so likely to dent it. So,
Are all these
here's your
slices
block.
different thicknesses? Or?
They are all different
Yeah.
thicknesses. What I'm going to do now is just get that into a block, and then I'm going to cut this so you've got it on a diagonal, yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut it from corner to corner.
Do we
Make
do-
sure you're actually using the blade part of the blade. Corner to corner, yeah. Take that apart and stack it up like this, yeah?
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to cut those top bits off here, so you've got a rectangular block again, yeah?
Brilliant. So you've just cut the corners off there?
I've just cut the corners
Will
off.
you use these
I'll probably
later?
use them later, yeah. So then, when you then cut your slices, and I'll show you to the camera, you should have these beautiful
That looks amazing when you do it like that.
strips like this, that you can then, just cut another one because this is the first strip, this will come apart. You can then put onto a bracelet so they form like a chevron pattern. I'll use this bracelet. This is just a enamel metal bracelet.
Yeah.
The thick ones are plain wood. Because you only heat the oven to 110 degrees centigrade, you can use most plastic bangles. It's not going to be hot enough to melt them.
You can find those anywhere as well.
Yeah,
They're cheap.
you can. If you simply lay this on like this, leave a gap and line it up so that your next one forms a chevron. And very quickly, I'll just show you what I mean by the crackle effect.
Yeah, so you'd obviously continue doing that the whole way round.
You would, but what you'd do is you'd interleave it with this, and I'll show you this. This is a great effect that you get with the Fimo gold leaf. Take any colour, I mean I've used a brown.
Would this show through underneath like it has on this one?
Yeah, because I'm going to put them in the tin.
So use a colour that you want to match?
Yeah. Leaf, don't sneeze near the leaf. It is so fine, it will go everywhere.
Okay.
And I find the best way is actually to lay your Fimo on top of the leaf. I don't know if the camera can see this. I'm loath to move it because it does go everywhere. Don't work in a kitchen with the back door open on a windy day.
Okay.
Or your gold leaf will be on the floor.
But you can reuse the bits that come off,
Yeah,
can't you?
yeah. In fact, actually,
earlier.
Fimo do sell packets of leaf flakes, which are great. I'm going to show you in another video some other effects that you can get. But then as you roll this further, you get this great crackle effect on the gold leaf.
Oh, great. So is that the same thickness as this? So it kind of...
No, all of these are different. I mean, to be honest, the thickness, you need an average thickness, but you will smooth it down.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes it's quite nice if it's not exact, because it gives a look of it really being handmade. I'm just going to slip that between these two here. Yeah. And then just use my fingers to butt the two pieces up, cut off the excess. So you'd continue doing that all the way around the bangle.
Yeah.
Like this. And then after you've done a bit, take a scalpel or the flat-bladed knife that you were using.
Okay.
And just go around the inside like this to cut off the excess. And what you'll find, you don't really need any adhesive or anything to hold the Fimo to the bangle. And when it's baked, it will bake in that curve and it sticks really well.
Oh,
and
brilliant.
then we've just finished
So
it
you
off
don't
with
need any glue?
No glue. We finished it off with a coat of varnish.
Brilliant. That's the Fimo varnish.
And it's just a very, very simple way of making a nice geometric print.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Corinne. That's all we have time for here today on the Craft Channel. But for more information on Fimo, head to www.fimo.com.